Have you ever noticed how much faith we have in our phones? I mean, we have faith that we type in directions in my phone that it's going to lead me to the right destination. And we type it in and we're like, I don't know how to get there, but my phone will take me to the right destination. You know what we don't see now? Maybe we did 12, 15 years ago when things were still kind of new. But nowadays, what we don't see is people yelling at their phone, "Where are you taking me?" No, we've been on enough positive journeys to know that the directions will get me there. It may be a way I'm not used to. It may be a path I've never gone before, but we have faith that we're headed to the right destination. Look at this today. Isn't it amazing that we oftentimes have more faith in our phone than we do God? So true, isn't it? Look at this statement. See, when you know who you are following, you don't have to know where you're going. You just got to know who you're following. You got to know who's leading me. I need to know who's leading this destination, who's leading me through. See, I'd rather be in the wilderness following Jesus and the Holy Spirit than I would in the promised land following somebody else. There's something about, you know that God is leading you. You know that Jesus is leading you. Look what Luke 9:23 says to all of us, Jesus' words. Jesus said to all of them, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me." One more time, take up their cross daily and follow me. If you want to follow Jesus, you got to follow him daily. If you want to be a disciple of Jesus, you got to learn what it means to trust him daily. Understanding this. Notice he didn't say, if you want to come after me, I'll show you exactly where we're going. Those were not Jesus' words. He said, follow me. He said, follow me, trust me. Have you ever noticed when you're taking a long road trip, what are the voices in the car that say, "Are we there yet?" And you're like, it's going to be a long drive. We're heading to the ocean. We're going to the beach. We're going to the amusement park. We're going to Disney. I mean, and the voices in the back, you haven't even got out of town. Are we there yet? You know who's asked that question and yells it out? The voices of the immature, right? The immature have no concept of trust. They're like, are we there yet? They just got their eyes on the big picture. I want to see Mickey. I can't wait to see Mickey. Mickey, right? Oh, Mickey, he's so fine. He's so fun. Come on, yeah. I want to see Mickey. And so the voices, you're old if you laughed at that one. The voices of the immature say, are we there yet? But the mature say, sit back, relax. It's going to be a long journey. You better get comfortable. It's going to be a while. See, even when God chooses us to take the long path around to where we're going, we got to learn to trust him. We got to learn to trust that, God, you are taking me where you want me to be. Chances are that God is taking me through whatever I'm going through right now to prepare me for the place he's got destined for me. And he needs me to go through this tough journey right now. He needs me to go through the long journey right now so that when I get to the destination he has for me, I am ready to excel in the place he has for me. And oftentimes, that involves taking his time. Oftentimes, he's got to take his time to get us to where he's taking us. Let's look at Abraham's faith today. I love Father Abraham. We call him Father Abraham for a reason. He's considered the father of our faith. Hebrews 11:8 says this about Abraham. It was by faith that Abraham obeyed when God called him to leave home and to go to another land that God would give him as his inheritance. He went without knowing. One more time. He went without knowing where he was going. Can you imagine that? He says, I want you to go. Abraham left and trusted God without knowing where God was taking him. How many of us say, God, I'm not moving until you show me where I'm going? God, I'm not going to leave until you tell me where I'm supposed to go. And we want God to show us the big picture, and God says, that's not how it works. When I tell you to move, you walk in obedience. When I tell you to serve, you serve in obedience. When I ask you to give, you give in obedience. When I ask you to go, I go in obedience. That's what he's looking for. Trusting him. And we're like, God, what are you doing? How many times do we want to say, God, are we there yet? God, are you lost? God, forget about me. Sometimes God has to take the long way through the wilderness to get the old man, the old woman out of us, so that when we get to the promised land, we're ready to excel. And he's got to get Egypt out of us so that he can get the new thing he's wanting to do inside of us. I mean, think about the children of Israel. God delivers them, sends Moses, all these great signs and wonders. I mean, you couldn't ask for any more visual of God's great power working in front of their eyes. All these amazing plagues, God doing amazing things. And then when they get to the Red Sea, they saw the water part right before their eyes. They walked across on the dry ground. They saw the water come back and destroy the enemy that was after them. They saw this with their own eyes. And a few days later, God, does God even know what he's doing? Why would he bring us out here to die? We had it better back as slaves. See, God had to take them 40 years in the wilderness to get the slave mentality out of them. He had to destroy some things in their thinking, in their spirit, and so they would totally learn to trust God. Look at Genesis 12, verses 1 through 3. The Lord said to Abraham, leave your native country, your relatives, your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. He goes, I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth, that's us, will be blessed through you. We see this amazing thing. He says, I will show you. He didn't say, I have shown you. I will show you after you obey. I will show you after you step out in faith. I will show you after you learn to trust me. God said, I won't show you until you leave. I won't bless you until you leave. See, look at this statement. Sometimes we must leave the comfortable place we're in first and step out and trust God. Sometimes we get really comfortable and God's saying, I want you to step out. See, this is symbolic of the principle that Jesus taught us when he says that we must become new wineskins if we're going to receive the new wine. Jesus said if we try to pour something new into something old, it will burst. So you got to let God do something new in you to prepare you for a new season in your life. And so sometimes God has to take us through the wilderness. God's got to take us through the valley of the shadow of death. Sometimes God takes us through the highest struggle we've ever been through because he's trying to do something in us to prepare us for the next season, to prepare us for where he's trying to take us. See, Abraham didn't leave just to get famous. And Abraham didn't just lead to get blessed. The Bible says he was already one of the most wealthy men in his area. He was already a famous man. He was already a wealthy man. So if you really think about it, it took a lot more faith for him to leave that. It wasn't like he was a poor guy chasing riches. He was already rich. He was already famous. But God was saying, I'm going to bless you beyond you've ever been blessed. I'm going to make you famous, and you don't even realize that people thousands of years are going to be talking about your faithfulness. They're going to be preaching about you here in this area. In 2026, they're going to be talking about you still, about the faithfulness of you and Sarah. He had no idea the impact he would make. The lineage of King David came out of the nation of Israel that was started by Abraham and Sarah. Jesus' lineage can be traced back to them, all from the single obedience that they chose to obey God. See, I want you to write this down. Learn to follow God in uncertainty. Learn to follow God when you're just uncertain where you're going, when you're uncertain what's next. Learn to trust God. Learn to follow him. How many control freaks do we have in the house? Raise your hand today. Come on now. I know there's a lot of you out there. How many say, I'm sitting next to a control freak? Maybe that's easier. Oh, there we go. All right, I see. We have a lot of control freaks here today. You have a 10-point plan for your life every single day. And if one of those 10 points doesn't get crossed off, your day is ruined. You can't even go to sleep at night. Oh my, I can't believe I still had number 9. It didn't get done. Control freaks, right? The world doesn't get anything accomplished, but that's a control freak, so I get that. But can I tell you, this is going to be a challenge for you. Trusting God in the unknown is a challenge for you. But God expects us to trust him even when we don't understand. Even when we don't see the big picture yet, God is expecting us to trust him. And can I tell you, look at this statement, God won't show you more until you do the small things he's already asked you to do. God, when are you going to show me the big picture? When you can do something small, when you can do other things. But God, when you show me the big picture, God says, when you learn to do the small picture, I'll show you the big picture. Jesus said, if you're faithful in the small things, you'll become ruler over the big things. But everybody wants to be ruler over the big things and think they're too good to be ruler over the small things. Oh, I guess I'm preaching to a church down the street today because you got really quiet on me, right? Everybody wants the glamorous thing, but nobody wants to do the small things that nobody notices. And it's there that God develops us and decides who's faithful that I can elevate to be in charge of the bigger things in our life. The question for all of us today is, can we follow God today? What's the thing God's wanting from us to do? What's the steps he's wanting us to do? Look at this obedience chart I made. I think it'll help us kind of understand what I'm talking about, visualize it. All of us have big things we're wanting God to answer. All of us have big questions for God. God, when will this open up? God, when I get my dream job? God, when will I meet my dream spouse? God, when will I have this? God, when will this open up? And we've all these questions, and we want God to answer 4, 5, and 6 right now. We want to know the answer right now, and yet we haven't learned to obey 1, 2, and 3 yet. But we want God to show us 4, 5, and 6, but we haven't learned to do the small steps now. We haven't learned to obey in the small things now. Pastor, what are you saying? Well, I'm glad you asked, because here's the real struggle, right? The real struggle is in the small. The real struggle is in the small steps. I mean, think about it. Jesus gave us 2 steps. He's like, hey, I know there's so much out there, so many things. You're trying to figure out what's the right, what's the wrong. Jesus said, all right, let me make it simple for you. I want you to learn to do 2 things, okay? Everybody say 2 things. He says, I want you to learn to love God with all of your heart, right? Love God with everything you got, and I want you to love others. There you go. Do those two things, and the rest of the stuff will fall into place. I want you to love God, but we struggle sometimes. We love God, but sometimes we love ourselves more. We love God, but sometimes we love our stuff more. We love God, but we love our hobbies sometimes more. Oh, we love God, but we love our children more. We love God. You see how the struggle is there. And he says, no, I want you to put me first. I want you to love me more. Then he goes, I want you to love people. That's hard sometimes, isn't it? Come on, turn to your neighbor and say, sometimes it's hard to love you. It's not always easy. People be like, you like being a pastor? I said, I would love pastoring if it wasn't for the people. Really, I would. I really would. Kind of joking. But seriously, but we're having fun today. But sometimes people are hard to love, aren't they? People make it a challenge sometimes to love. But Jesus said, I want you to learn to do these two things. Okay, how about I pick on something else? How about, he says, we learn, can we just read one verse a day and meditate on that? Can we just take the one verse that we signed up for to be text to us? Oh, I guess I'm the only one that ever pushed delete and didn't read it, I guess, okay? Can you at least start off doing one verse a day and just put it in your heart, hide it in your heart, meditate upon it that day? God, I want you to bless me. And we delete the verse of the day. Steps 1, 2, and 3 first. How about this one? This will hit home for somebody I know, right? How about we learn to control our tongue first, right? How about we learn to control our words? God, I want you to show me 4, 5, and 6, but we're gossiping about everybody else's job. We gossip about people across the other community. We gossip about people in our church. We gossip about people in our neighborhood. We gossip about our family. We talk bad about everybody else. Someone told me today after the first service, Pastor, I don't gossip, I pray. It's prayer requests. I'm prayer requesting. I said, tell me you're being convicted without telling me you're being convicted. As he laughed really hard. It's true, isn't it? Our mouth's got to be under control. Can we get our tongue under control, our mouth under control? If we do that, then we're setting ourselves up for God to open up the big things in our life. But when our mouth's out of control, if he opens up the big things, we'll destroy them with our mouth. Okay, I guess I'm preaching to somebody else. Like I said, I don't know. No, this is all of us, right? All of us have got to learn. I'm just talking about, this is the example of this, some of the small things that Jesus has already asked us to do. And if we can learn to do what he's already asked us to do, then he can ask us to do something bigger. Then he can trust us with something bigger because we've already begun to do what he's already put out for us to do. Abraham made some really big mistakes in his life, but God was moved by his faith. His faith is what opened the doors. Look at this. I want you to learn to follow God with fresh vision. Learn to follow God with fresh vision. Some of you need some fresh vision in your life. You haven't allowed God to inspire you with fresh vision in a long time. I know people over the decades of doing ministry, I've heard a common theme many times is, man, I just blew it, Pastor. I had my chance and I blew it. I wish I could go back and do high school over again. The coach would have put me in. We'd have won the state championship. I'd have been on scholarship. Uncle Rico syndrome, right? If I could just go back to high school. People like, man, I blew it. I got a chance to go to college. I was on scholarship. I had to pay for it, and I partied away those opportunities. I failed out of college, didn't take it serious. I wish I could go back, but I blew it, my opportunity. I wish I could go back. I wish I'd have stayed at that good job I had. I left it thinking I was going to get a better job. But looking back, I should have stayed there. If I'd have been in that company, I would already be promoted to manager or assistant manager. I'd already been making more money. I mean, so our life is full of regret. I've blown it. Pastor, I wish I could go back and do it. I'm just too old now. My life is full of regret. Can I tell you, Abraham was 74 years old when God asked him to move. When God said, trust me and leave your land. 74. And then he had to wait another 25 years for God to fulfill the promise of the son. Can I tell you this? Look at Hebrews 11 through 12. Look what it says about Abraham and Sarah. It was by faith that even Sarah was able to have a child. She was barren, couldn't have children, and plus she was way too old. She believed that God would keep his promise, and so a whole nation came from this one man who was as good as dead. A nation with so many people that, like the stars in the sky and the sands on the seashore, there is no way to count them. They all came from this woman who was barren and too old, and this man that was almost dead. What are you saying, Pastor? I'm saying this today. If you're still breathing, God is not done with you yet. Stop saying, God's done with me. I'm past my season. I'm past my prime. God is not done with you yet. If you feel too tired, if you feel too worn out, if you feel like you've blown it, if you feel like you're too old, if you feel I'm as good as dead, you're in good company today. You're exactly where God wants you to be so he can use you in this season of your life. I think about my mother-in-law when I think about this story. My mother-in-law, as she got older in her years, her mobility was challenged. She couldn't walk very good. Even with a walker, she struggled to walk. She couldn't see. A lot of times, she couldn't see very good. And she would come in early and she would sit down in the left corner where I was sitting. And there would be a line lined up of people all around her section, wanting to hug her and talk to her, and she would pray with them, encourage them. Week after week, many people went to her for prayer and encouragement. When she was in the hospital, she would be witnessing to the doctors, the nurses, all those who were taking care of her. When they come in and visit her at her home and take care of her, she would begin to witness to them. And she would be like, where do you go to church? I haven't been to church. Well, you need to go to church. Let me tell you. If you don't have a church to go to, my son-in-law, he's a great pastor. I think you would like this. Come and hear him. And I'd be like, I never heard her say that when she was sane, more or less in her older years. So what's going on? But she'd be bragging on me in there and like, come on. She was always witnessing to somebody. And over the decades, there was many people who came to our church because she invited them from a hospital room. From a visit to take care of her, she reversed it around and told them about the goodness of God. I remember my first yes. I was in college and I felt like God was calling me to go and just take some time and go and study his word and just get away and recenter myself. And so I felt like God was calling me to go to a Christian college, to a Bible college. And I didn't want to go. And I remember God's voice so clearly. And I remember the night I said, yeah, God, I'll go. I'll give you one semester. And God's like, great, that's all I'm asking you. Give me one semester. I said yes to one semester. And one semester turned into 2 semesters. And 2 semesters turned into 2 years. And then 2 years turned into 4, almost 5. I graduated with a degree. And when I graduated, I said this, I will never, ever, ever be a pastor. Because all the pastors I knew, they were weird and strange. I was like, I can't dress like that. I can't slick my hair back like that. I can't walk around and talk, and the Lord said to you today, lady, let me tell you something right now. I mean, it's just not me. I was like, these people aren't cool. I can't do this. But I could be a youth pastor. And so I felt like God asked me to be youth pastor, and I had a chance. I was asked to be a volunteer youth leader. Volunteer. And as I volunteered, While my peers were seeking out paid big positions, I just volunteered for free to help out where I was asked. And that yes led to me eventually going part-time and then full-time and then growing a major youth group. It had hundreds of kids in it. And then also traveling the nation. I was speaking at youth camps all summer long across the nation, speaking at youth conferences. And I remember the time, a decade later, my pastor came to me and said, "Hey, Gene, I need you to do something for me." I'm like, "Sure, what's going on, Pastor?" He says, "I need to take about 8 months off." 8 months? He goes, "Yeah, man, I need a break. I'm not in good health. My dad's not in good health. I'm going to take 8 months off, and in a week, I'm going to turn this thing over to you, and you're in charge." I'm like, "What?" You know? And I was like thinking about it and praying about it, and people told me, "Don't do it. It's a setup. Don't do it." This was a large church with several hundred people in it. And they're like, people are going to get mad. They're going to leave because he's gone for 8 months, and it's going to look bad on you. No matter if it's not your fault or not, they're going to blame you for why the church went down. It's a setup. Don't do it. And I said, "But I think God wants me to do it." So I said yes. And I had like one sermon. That was it. And I remember preaching that first sermon, and then week after week, God would help me learn how to communicate to several hundred adults. And when people said it would die off, it actually grew during that time. And God prospered it. And it was through that time that I was like, okay, maybe I don't have to be so weird as a pastor. maybe I can do this. And when I was asked to start a church, plant a church, I prayed about it. I was like, okay, I never planted a church before. I don't know that much what I'm doing, but God, if you're asking me to do it, I just say yes. And I planted a church, started a church with you heard the story, 7 families in a basement. We just met together, prayed together, worshiped together. I didn't know 20 years ago when I said yes to starting a church, I thought it would just be something I would do for a couple of years, and then I probably would be moving on to something different. I didn't know 20 years ago that Destiny Church would grow into where we are today, to be here on this campus, on this facility, multiple services. I didn't know 20 years ago that God was setting us up for even a greater 20 years ahead. I didn't know that. And if I tell you this, if God had shown me then what it was going to take to be here, I just said no. If I'd have known all the pain I'd had to go through, all the rejection I had to go through, all being a public target, all the thing. Listen, leadership is bleedership, okay? I'm just telling you, it's not easy. Everybody wants the big thing, but nobody wants to do the small thing and allow God to take you through a wilderness season to get you ready for the blessing. And if I'd have known then, I probably would have ran. But I'm thankful that I said yes then and just trusted God. And God has led me all along the way. And what I'm telling you today is when you say yes to God, when you trust God, even when you don't know where he's taking you, you understand that God is setting you up for something greater than what you can see today. Don't be discouraged. Trust him. Trust him. See, it's the struggle. Look at this. It's the struggle as we get ready to close. It's the struggle is what prepares you for the promise. It's the struggle. Abraham had to struggle with his nephew. I mean, they had a falling out. All right, nephew, you pick the ground. His nephew picks the best ground, the best watering hole, the best greenest pastures. And he gave it away to his nephew, even though his nephew was tagging along on his trip. And his nephew showed zero gratitude. Instead, he chose the best ground. I mean, there was a lot of family drama going on there. Abraham had to struggle trying to get out of town and leave. And it was tricky. People were trying to rob him. People were trying to steal his wife. I mean, a lot of things were happening. It was a struggle to get out and leave the land. Abraham had major struggles in his marriage. So much family, baby drama, mama. Come on now, you know what I'm talking about. Woo, it was bad. There was a lot of struggle there. Abraham had to struggle with some major major mistakes in his life. Abraham's life was full of struggle before God fulfilled the promise. See, it's in the struggle that God tests us. It's in the struggle that God develops us. And let me leave you with this last thought today. Just because you're in pain this season doesn't mean God has forgotten you. It's all a part of the development. It's all a part of trusting him. It's all a part of not knowing his plan, but God's saying, I'm going to follow you. I will let you lead my life. I'll let you lead my family. And I know as long as I'm following you, you're going to cause all things to work together for good. You're going to cause all things to work out according to your plan.